Lisa sat on her bathroom floor at 2 a.m., surrounded by credit card statements she'd been avoiding for months. $20,347.82. The number stared back at her from 7 different statements, 7 different failures. The minimum payments alone were eating $847 every month, almost half her rent. She'd tried budgeting before, failed. Tried snowball method, failed. This time felt different because it had to be. Her sister's wedding was in 6 months. Lisa refused to show up, still drowning, still lying about why she couldn't afford things. That night, she opened a fresh spreadsheet and titled it, Freedom in 180 Days. The plan she created wasn't comfortable. It wasn't balanced. It was survival mode, and it would work. 6 months later, her balance would read $0.00. But first, she'd have to become someone she didn't recognize. Lisa's debt hadn't appeared overnight, though it felt that way when she finally forced herself to look at the numbers. It had accumulated quietly over 4 years. $1,000 here for a vacation she couldn't afford but desperately needed. $2,000 there for the laptop that died right before a work deadline. Another $500 when her car needed repairs and her emergency fund was already empty because she'd never really built one. The student loans were the foundation. $8,200 left from a degree that had promised better opportunities than her $42,000 a year office job delivered. On top of that sat credit card balances that had started small. $300 to furnish her first apartment, $500 for professional clothes, $1,200 for that emergency room visit before her insurance kicked in. But small balances become large ones when you're only paying minimums and still swiping for groceries because there's more month than money. The interest alone was costing her $340 every month. That was her grocery budget, disappearing into nothing. She'd become an expert at the mental gymnastics of debt denial. I'll pay it off when I get my tax refund. It's not that bad compared to other people. I'm still young. I have time. But sitting on that bathroom floor at 2 a.m., those excuses crumbled. Her younger sister Emily had just gotten engaged. The wedding was in 6 months. Lisa should have been thrilled, but instead she felt sick because she knew the questions were coming. Will you be my maid of honor? Meant expenses she couldn't afford. Can you help with the bachelorette party? Meant more debt. She couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. The next morning, Lisa called in sick to work, not because she was physically ill, but because she needed to face what she'd been running from. She spent 8 hours building a complete financial inventory. Every account, every debt, every recurring expense. The process was brutal. Logging into accounts she'd been avoiding, seeing the damage accumulated in those balances she'd stopped checking, confronting the lifestyle inflation that had happened so gradually she hadn't noticed. Her small daily Starbucks habit, $1,460 per year. The streaming services she never watched but kept paying for, $384 annually. The gym membership she'd used twice in 4 months, $720 per year. DoorDash orders when she was too tired to cook, averaging $280 per month. When she totaled everything, Lisa realized she was spending $615 every month on convenience, more than half of what she needed to attack her debt aggressively. The math was simple but devastating. At her current payment rate of $847 in minimums, it would take her 9 years to pay off $20,347. 9 years of $340 monthly interest charges. That was $36,720 total. She'd pay $16,373 just in interest. But if she could find $1,500 per month to throw at the debt, she could eliminate it in 14 months. If she went extreme and found $2,000 per month, she could be debt-free in 11 months. And if she was willing to sacrifice everything for 6 months, if she could somehow generate $3,400 per month for debt, she could walk into Emily's wedding completely free. That number felt impossible, but so did staying trapped for 9 more years. Lisa's plan required her to become extreme in ways that would have seemed insane to the person she'd been a week earlier. She canceled everything that wasn't essential: Netflix, Hulu, Spotify Premium, the gym, her monthly subscription boxes, even her phone plan downgrade from unlimited to basic. Savings, $284 per month. She called her landlord and asked if she could sublet her second bedroom. He agreed. She posted the room that afternoon and had a tenant, A quiet grad student named Maya, moving in within 2 weeks. Additional income, $650 per month. She sold everything in that room that wasn't essential. The expensive bed frame she'd bought new, the designer lamp, the rug, the decorative pieces. She kept an air mattress for when family visited. Sales revenue, $1,240 upfront. Lisa started meal prepping every Sunday, rice, beans, chicken, vegetables, the same rotation every week. Grocery budget dropped from $420 per month to $180. She packed lunch every single day. She drank the free terrible coffee at work instead of Starbucks. She walked to work instead of driving when weather permitted, saving gas. She canceled her car insurance for anything beyond basic liability, saving another $70 monthly. On weekends, she picked up shifts at a catering company, brutal physical work serving at weddings and corporate events, but it paid $23 per hour cash. She worked every Saturday and Sunday, adding $736 per month. She also started freelance writing for a content mill, churning out blog posts for $50 each during her lunch breaks and late nights. Even at just 4 articles per week, that was another $800 monthly. The numbers started adding up. $284 plus $650 plus $180 plus $736 plus $800 equals $2,650 in additional monthly capacity for debt, plus the $1,240 from sales to throw at the highest interest card immediately. The first month was hell. Lisa's body ached from catering shifts where she stood for 8 hours carrying heavy trays. Her eyes burned from writing articles until midnight after full workdays. Her friends stopped inviting her out after the third, "I can't afford it," declined invitation. Her coworkers asked if she was okay because she'd stopped joining lunch outings. She was okay, she was just choosing a different kind of pain. The pain of discipline instead of the pain of debt. On day 28 of her aggressive plan, Lisa made her first massive debt payment, $3,407. She put $1,240 from her sales, plus the $2,167 she'd scraped together from her intense first month. She watched her highest interest credit card, the one charging 24.99% APR with a $4,156 balance, drop to $749. Something happened in her chest when she saw that number. It was the first time in 4 years a balance had gone down instead of up. 2 weeks later, that card hit zero, completely paid off, closed. 1 down, 6 to go. Lisa printed out the $0 balance statement and taped it to her bathroom mirror where she'd been surrounded by bills that awful night. She stared at it every morning, proof that this wasn't just a fantasy. Month 2, she paid off 2 more smaller balances, $890 and $1,240. 3 cards gone. For remaining, total paid in 2 months, $6,293. The momentum was intoxicating. Every dollar had a purpose now. Every shift at the catering company wasn't just exhaustion. It was $184 closer to freedom. Every article she wrote wasn't just late-night work. It was $50 more she could throw at Discover Card. The spreadsheet she updated daily became her favorite thing to open. Watching those balances shrink gave her more satisfaction than any purchase ever had. But the lifestyle came with costs that weren't financial. Lisa's relationship with her boyfriend, Jake, started crumbling under the weight of her obsession. He wanted to go to concerts, try new restaurants, take weekend trips, all the things they used to do. "You've become so intense about this," he said during what would become their final fight. "We never do anything fun anymore. It's like you're punishing yourself." He was right, but he also didn't understand. Fun would still be there in 6 months. Debt wouldn't be. "I need you to support this, or I need you to step back," Lisa told him. He chose to step back. They broke up on a Thursday. She cried on Friday. On Saturday, she worked a 14-hour catering shift at a wedding, watching couples celebrate while her own relationship ended. On Sunday, she wrote 8 articles instead of her usual 4, and threw the extra $200 at her chase card. She used heartbreak as fuel. Her social life disappeared almost completely. Friends stopped understanding why she couldn't meet for drinks, couldn't come to birthday dinners, couldn't split an Airbnb for a girls' weekend. "It's just one night," they'd say. not grasping that one night out could cost $80 to $120, which represented 2 to 3 catering shifts or 2 to 4 articles she'd have to write. It represented paying off debt days later instead of now. The isolation was real, but so was the progress. By month 3, Lisa had eliminated 5 of her 7 debts. Only 2 remained: the student loan at $8,200 and one final credit card at $2,890. Total paid $9,257. She was past the halfway point. Some nights, lying in her half-empty apartment on her basic air mattress after her roommate had gone to bed, Lisa wondered if she was crazy, if she was sacrificing too much. Then she'd open her spreadsheet and look at the trajectory. She was on track. Freedom wasn't a fantasy anymore. It was 90 days away. Month 4 brought an unexpected crisis. Lisa's car broke down. The repair estimate, $1,800. For anyone else, it might have meant going back into debt or putting it on a credit card. For Lisa, it meant decision time. She sold the car. Just sold it as is to a mechanic for $2,400. Took the money, paid off the remaining $2,890 credit card balance completely, and bought a used bicycle for $150. For the next 2 months, she biked to work in every kind of weather. Rain, cold, heat, she biked. The catering company was harder to reach by bike, but she figured out the bus route and left 2 hours earlier for shifts. People thought she'd lost her mind. Her mother called, concerned. "Honey, you can't bike in winter. Just finance a cheap car." But Lisa had tasted freedom. 6 of 7 debts were gone, and she wasn't going backward. The final debt standing was the student loan, $8,200. It was the biggest, the oldest, the one she'd carried longest. With the car gone, her insurance dropped to 0. Her gas budget dropped to 0. Her parking costs dropped to 0. That freed up another $240 per month. She doubled down on everything. She took extra catering shifts, working some weeks where she barely slept. Her 40-hour office job plus 30 hours of weekend catering plus article writing in every spare moment. Her body screamed at her to slow down. Her mind begged for rest. But she had 10 weeks left until Emily's wedding, and she was so close she could taste it. By the end of month 4, $4,890 left on the student loan. Month 5 began with renewed fury. Lisa's entire world had shrunk to 3 things: work, sleep, and debt destruction. She tracked every penny. She found $20 bills she'd forgotten in jacket pockets and immediately transferred them to her loan. She returned bottles for deposits. She did online surveys for $3 to $5 each during her lunch breaks. Every dollar mattered. Every dollar was a soldier in her war against debt. Month 5 was when Lisa's coworkers started really noticing. She'd lost weight, not intentionally, but the combination of biking everywhere, limited food budget, and stress had changed her appearance. Her clothes were worn but clean. She never bought anything new. She brought the same lunch every single day. During one team meeting, her manager pulled her aside. "Lisa, is everything okay at home? If you're going through financial hardship, the company has resources." She almost laughed. Financial hardship? She was experiencing financial warfare, and she was winning. "I'm actually doing great," she said. "I'm paying off debt. I'm almost done." The manager looked skeptical, but Lisa didn't care about perception anymore. She cared about the number. $8,200 became $6,100, then $4,300, then $2,800. With 3 weeks until the wedding, Lisa did the math. She needed $2,800 more. She had 2 more paychecks coming, $1,100 each after taxes. That was $2,200. She was $600 short. That weekend, she worked a marathon 22-hour catering double shift. A Saturday wedding followed immediately by a Sunday corporate brunch. She earned $506. She also sold her laptop and bought a refurbished Chromebook for $180, netting another $220. She was $126 short. She found it by selling old textbooks, a winter coat she could replace later, and some jewelry. On day 172 of her 180-day plan, 8 days before Emily's wedding, Lisa sat at her dining room table, took a breath, and made the final payment, $2,800. She clicked Submit Payment, watched the processing wheel spin. Then the confirmation screen appeared. Payment successful. Current balance, $0.00. Lisa stared at those two zeros for a long time. $20,347.82 in debt. Eliminated in 172 days. She'd done it through brute force, sacrifice, and refusing to negotiate with herself. She'd become someone she barely recognized. Harder, leaner, more disciplined. But she was free. The week before Emily's wedding, Lisa did something she hadn't done in 6 months. She went shopping. Not for anything extravagant, but for a dress for the wedding and basic professional clothes to replace the worn-out ones she'd been wearing. She spent $180 carefully, intentionally, and without guilt for the first time in half a year. She got her hair cut for the first time since starting her journey. She bought nice shoes. The morning of the wedding, standing in front of her mirror, Lisa barely recognized herself. Not because of the dress or the hair, but because of what she saw in her eyes. Confidence, self-respect, the knowledge that she'd done something most people say is impossible. At the reception, Emily pulled her aside. "You look amazing, different somehow." "I feel different," Lisa said. "I paid off all my debt, all $20,000. Emily's eyes went wide. "In 6 months? How?" Lisa thought about how to answer, how to explain the catering shifts, the bike rides in freezing rain, the meals of rice and beans, the sold belongings, the ended relationship, the isolation. "I stopped negotiating with myself," she finally said. "I decided being uncomfortable temporarily was better than being trapped forever." Emily hugged her. "I'm so proud of you. You're going to be an amazing maid of honor." For the first time in their adult lives, Lisa didn't feel like the struggling sister. She felt like the one who'd figured something out. That night, Lisa updated her spreadsheet one final time. She changed the title from Freedom in 180 Days to Freedom Achieved, 172 Days. Then she started a new spreadsheet, Emergency Fund, $10,000 in 12 months. Because she'd learned something crucial during her debt elimination journey, she was capable of far more than she'd ever believed. The discipline that had freed her from debt could build wealth just as effectively as it had eliminated debt. She wasn't going back to her old lifestyle. She was building a new one. The months after Lisa's debt freedom brought unexpected challenges and revelations. Her lifestyle had become so stripped down that adding things back felt strange. She kept Maya as a roommate, discovering she actually preferred having someone else in the apartment. She kept biking to work most days, even though she eventually bought a used car with cash. She kept packing lunch. She kept writing articles, though now the money went into savings instead of debt payments. But the biggest change was psychological. Lisa had developed what she called debt PTSD, an almost visceral reaction to spending money unnecessarily. A friend invited her to dinner at a nice restaurant. Lisa looked at the menu and automatically calculated. That $38 entree represents 7.6 hours of work at my old catering rate. Is it worth 7.6 hours of my life? Usually the answer was no. She started seeing everything through the lens of what it really cost, not in dollars but in freedom, time, and energy. That $200 purse wasn't $200. It was 40 articles written. It was 2 full weekend days serving at weddings. It was a week of biking in the rain. Once you understand money as converted life energy, spending becomes different. But Lisa also learned she'd been practicing restriction, not sustainability. 6 months of extreme sacrifice had worked for debt elimination, but it wasn't a lifestyle she could maintain forever. She started slowly adding back things that brought genuine value: quality food, occasional dinners with friends, a gym membership she actually used. The difference now was intentionality. Every expense was a choice weighed against her goals. She'd become someone who controlled money instead of being controlled by it. 3 months after the wedding, Lisa got a promotion at work, a $7,000 raise. Her first instinct was to celebrate with a vacation, a purchase, something to mark the achievement. Instead, she immediately increased her 401k contribution and put $3,000 into her emergency fund. Old Lisa would have lifestyle inflated immediately. New Lisa understood that income increases were freedom increases, not spending increases. 6 months after achieving debt freedom, Lisa received a LinkedIn message from someone she didn't know. "I heard your story from a mutual friend. I'm $18,000 in debt and I don't know where to start. Would you be willing to share how you did it?" Lisa spent 2 hours on the phone with her, sharing every strategy, every sacrifice, every lesson. She sent her the spreadsheet template. She explained the mentality shifts. A month later, the woman messaged again. "I paid off my first credit card, $2,400 gone." I cried. "Thank you for showing me this was possible." That message did something to Lisa. She realized her journey wasn't just about her own freedom. It was proof of what's possible when you refuse to accept being trapped. She started a blog documenting her debt payoff story in detail, including the spreadsheet she'd used, the side hustles she'd worked, the mistakes she'd made. Within 3 months, the blog had 12,000 readers. People shared their own debt freedom dates, their own aggressive timelines, their own transformations. Lisa's comments section became a community of people cheering each other through the brutal discipline required to change their lives. A year after her final debt payment, Lisa's emergency fund hit $10,000. She kept going. At 18 months post-debt, she'd saved $25,000 and started investing in index funds. At 2 years, her net worth was positive $40,000, a $60,000+ swing from where she'd been on that bathroom floor. She still lived with Maya. She still biked to work. She still packed lunch most days. But now she also took intentional vacations, gave generously to causes she cared about, and helped friends and family members design their own debt elimination plans. The woman who'd been $20,347 in debt had become the woman who helped others find their way out. And the skills she'd learned during those 172 days, extreme focus, delayed gratification, creative problem solving, resilience through discomfort, turned out to be the exact skills needed to build wealth, not just eliminate debt. Lisa kept one item from her debt journey, a crumpled credit card statement from that bathroom floor night, now framed and hanging in her home office, not as a reminder of shame, but as proof of transformation. Under it, she'd written, "The person who sat on that bathroom floor surrounded by debt would not recognize the person I've become." And that's exactly the point. The truth Lisa discovered was uncomfortable. Most people stay in debt not because they can't get out, but because they're unwilling to become the person who gets out. That person is temporarily unpopular. That person says no constantly. That person makes choices others don't understand. That person works when everyone else is resting, sacrifices when everyone else is indulging, and accepts discomfort as the price of transformation. Lisa had become that person not because she was special, but because she was desperate enough to stop negotiating with herself. She'd stopped waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect circumstances. She'd started with what she had, a spreadsheet, some skills, and 180 days until she refused to still be trapped. The aggressive intensity wasn't sustainable forever, but it was necessary temporarily. You can't boil water at a comfortable temperature. Sometimes transformation requires heat. Looking back, Lisa realized the debt wasn't the real prison. The mindset was. The debt was just a symptom of believing she deserved comfort before she'd earned freedom, convenience before she'd built discipline, and pleasure before she'd created security. Once she inverted that formula, everything changed. The discomfort that eliminated debt was the same discomfort that built wealth. The discipline that freed her from payments was the same discipline that filled her investment accounts. The choices that isolated her temporarily connected her to a community of people fighting the same battle. 3 years after that bathroom floor breakdown, Lisa's life looked completely different. Not because she'd won the lottery or gotten lucky, but because she'd made 1,000 consecutive hard choices that accumulated into transformation. On the 3-year anniversary of her debt freedom day, Lisa received an email from the blog reader who'd first reached out to her. The subject line, "I'm debt-free." The woman had eliminated $18,000 in debt in 11 months using Lisa's strategies and template. She'd included a photo of herself holding a sign that read $0 with the biggest smile. Lisa printed the photo and added it to a growing wall in her office. Dozens of photos from people who'd followed her path and found their own freedom. Each face represented someone who'd chosen discomfort over comfort, delayed gratification over immediate pleasure, and transformation over stagnation. That afternoon, Lisa updated her own financial dashboard. Net worth, $67,000. Investment accounts growing automatically each month. Emergency funds solid at $15,000. Side income from the blog, $2,100 per month. She still worked her office job, but now it was a choice, not a necessity. She could quit tomorrow and be fine for over a year while she figured out her next move. That optionality, that freedom, was what the debt had stolen from her. And reclaiming it had required becoming someone new. The woman who biked through winter storms, worked 70-hour weeks, and said no to everything inessential hadn't just eliminated debt. She'd built the foundation for a completely different life. As she closed her laptop that evening, Lisa thought about that bathroom floor moment one more time. She'd been so certain she was trapped, so convinced that $20,347 was an insurmountable mountain. But mountains aren't climbed in single leaps. They're climbed in steps, one after another, day after day, even when you're exhausted and can't see the summit. 6 months had sounded impossible. But 180 days, broken down into individual choices, work this shift, write this article, skip this purchase, make this payment, turned out to be absolutely achievable. Not comfortable, not balanced, not sustainable forever, but achievable. And sometimes, achieving the impossible just requires refusing to stop until it's done.